My name is Greg Frankson. I am a writer, a poet, a local activist, and an author. And I am very, very excited to be here representing BlackLit Durham. I'm the artistic director of BlackLit Durham as well, which is a local show that we run out of the St. Francis Center in Pickering Village. And we have Black poets of all different literary disciplines, whether that be poetry, nonfiction, fiction, creative nonfiction, dub, spoken word, all of it. And we get together every other month and we have things going on that's pretty amazing. I'm going to talk a little bit more about BlackLit Durham later in the show, but I don't want to hold everything up because ultimately I'm the one who is between you and hearing the amazing words of the poets that we've gathered here together today. These wonderful Black voices who are going to be able to come up and share their work with you this evening as part of the wonderful programming put on by the Whitby Public Library and supported by the folks at the Diversity and Inclusion Advisory Committee for the town of Whitby. And I'm just really happy to be able to share these folks with you as part of National Poetry Month. Welcome, April. And so I'm just going to introduce each one of the poets. When they come up, they're going to do a little bit of poetry. Then after everybody does a little poetry, we're going to take a quick break. Hi, wrong door. There you go. Sorry, that's my host discretion to sort of, you're going through the wrong door. Anyway, so each poet will get an opportunity to share their work. We'll take a quick break. We'll have an opportunity to mill about, talk to other folks. We have a couple tables set up in the front lobby. One that is having the folks who are here from the Congress of Black Women for Whitby and Oshawa. So you'll be able to go out and meet those folks, as well as I have the book, AfriCANthology Perspectives of Black Canadian Poets, which was released last February, which brings together poets from coast to coast to share not just their poetry, but also essays, personal essays about their experiences as Black people in Canada. And so we have copies of those books available outside, so I'll be out with the table and I'll be able to talk to folks and sell you a copy if you'd like to take that home with you. All right, enough of the preliminaries. Let's get to the poetry.
Sir Greg, did you mention the other table that's out in the lobby?
I did. Yes, the Congress of Black Women. It's all good.
Thank you.
Yes, there we go. The ladies are in the back. All right, so the first poet that we're going to call up this evening is Judith Shaw. She's a poet and a member of the Durham Storytellers. She is the author of a children's book, My Grandmother Said Art is Everywhere. Judith was born in Kingston, Jamaica, and raised by her grandma, Wawa. Aww, that's nice. Judith believes grandparents are wise and special, and that they should be loved, honored, and respected. Judith works as a visiting home, a registered practical nurse, but also finds delight tapping into her artistic abilities. She enjoys daydreaming and believes art arises from the ability to dream and from the freeing of our imaginations. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Judith Shaw.
Hello.
Hello.
Thank you for being here. And thank you, Greg, for that wonderful introduction. I really appreciate that. And thank you very much for inviting me to share my voice. You guys can hear me loud and clear? Mm-hmm. The very first poem, well, maybe I should tell you a little bit about myself. Poetry is something that comes to me. And when it comes, I just deliver it however it arrives. Sometimes it comes in the form of dub. Sometimes it comes in the form of just everyday poetry. And sometimes it comes into the form, can you hear me?
It's not that, what's dub?
I will explain it to you.
Okay.
Maybe in a Q&A question?
Sure.
So you gotta wait a little bit. You gotta stick around, right? Yes. And sometimes it just comes, and I just welcome it. My very first poem I'm gonna share with you is called Ism. And Ism is a poem that more like a childhood memory. What I hear, what I observe, and then you can just judge from it also, right? Ism. I heard them say you're too black. Black can't, black won't, black lacks color. Ain't no color in black. Ain't no color in black, but yet you say my color is black. I heard them say black lacks light. No reflection, just rejections. Too black, just stormy nights. Black cats, black suits, black dress to mourn the dead. No light, just darkness. I heard, you heard, we both heard them say, nothing good ever comes from being too black. So you whiten your black, then prance in the light with a temporary stride. And you, yes you, shine in their whiter, lighter acceptance above your black rejection. Run back to your black. Don that must-have black suit, black dress on your elegant, sophisticated black. Can't you see they're tanning black? Don't you hear blacks don't crack? Sing black, dance black, celebrate black, pump that fist. Power is black. So this poem came to me as I remembering things that I've heard. My darker family member would always be taught that they're too black. And also when I look up the meaning black, there's so much different meaning. They said it's groovy and no one likes a black cat. But then on the other hand, black is elegant. Black is power. Black is so much more. And that's where that poem came from. I don't know why in heaven's name I'm doing this. I don't like to screw up my poems, you know. Kind of spank myself. And when I'm home, I'm telling you, I know that poem from head to toe. I don't even use paper. So I don't know what to be. Settle down, girl. Okay, so this poem is called Too Many. And this is my dub poem, okay? And this poem came to me while I was praying. Remembering what it's like in so many different areas in life. So this is how it goes. Dear Jah, too many ghettos colliding in the sun. Tourists sees paradise while bathing in the sun. Too many ghettos youths find fun in robberies and guns. No foot a run cars, gunshot a bus. Gunshot bus, oh Lord. So many mothers a holler and a ball. One hand pon them head and another pon them heart. Them ball, them ball, them ball. Jesus Christ, another son gone. Them ball, them ball, them ball. Oh Lord, another son gone. So many tears a fall, like raindrops from hurricane and thunderstorms. Worries, aches and pain, a shiver and a shake, the ghetto people them heart like a earthquake. None of them can seem to escape. All the suffering and pain behind the ghetto gates. Sons and daughters want to be loved, can't find love, wondering why love rejects them, wondering why neglect parents them, wondering why poverty chose them. Why poverty chose them. Children too young to defend themselves, they on street I beg to feed themselves. Children too young to comprehend why them born in a this predicament. Why them born in a this predicament. Why them born, Lord? Why them born in a this predicament? But as their eyes become wise to the visions in sight, they raise their hands and eyes and voice to the sky and ask why? Why, Lord? Why can't we too sunbathe in the sweet, sweet paradise? And this other poem came to me from a research. I just decided one day to sit in my basement, turn on a computer, and then I started researching on ancestors. And then I hit on slavery, and then I started feeling an ache, and I started feeling pain. And then from the ache and the pain and the wondering how my ancestors, what they've experienced, this pain, this poem came to me. And of course I name it Mother Africa. Oh, Mother Africa, I feel the aching in your weeping womb. Yes, Mother, I too see the storm. I see its rage of destruction. It chains, and it cuts, and it rips, and it slaughters, and it leaves tracks of blood dripping from the bulging veins of terror. I see them, Mother. I see them all. I see millions of your children shivering in the heat of fright, caged and shackled like livestock. Their eyes, oh, their eyes scream words unspoken. I hear their heart howling off the waves of the macabre. Oh, Mother Africa, I see them all. Dear God, where have you been? Can't you hear what I'm hearing? Can't you see what I'm seeing? As the storm caged your soul, as the storm shackled your strength and left your heart lifeless. Oh God, forgive me, but who commanded that storm that will regard life lifeless, that devastates, that dehumanizes? Forgive me, whenever I do this poem, I get a little emotional. But that's my poem. And the next poem is called Generation Creators. And this is my second time actually going to do this poem. And when I did do it the first time, I messed up too, so I'm hoping that I don't mess up tonight. And this one, a friend of mine put on a poetry event honoring women, and this poem came to me, and I named it Generation Creator. I am water, life vital source. From my belly, lakes and rivers and ocean flows. Through my very existence, everything grows. When I love, it cures like rain, hydrating and purifying. I am woman. Yes, the world orbits around us. The sun, the moon, the stars receives energy from us. Our electrifying solar power heart connects the world, keeping gravity afloat. It is us that keeps the globe turning. It is us that keeps the season rotating. Yes, we are woman. We are the Milky Way. From Greece to China to Southern Africa. We are the goddess Ira, the silver river, the backbone of night. We transcend beauty way, 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 way beyond the starry nights. Because we are woman. I am the atmosphere. My presence is in the shapes of the clouds. My presence is in the movement of the wind. My presence is in the rising and the setting of the sun. I am one of God's greatest master plan because I am woman. We are nature's ants. We are givers. We are builders. We are helpers. We are healers. We are nurturers. We are generation creators. We are friendship architects. We are mothers. We are sisters. We are aunties. We are grandmothers. We are boundless lovers. Yes, because we are woman. Thank you. And my book is here for sale too. I forgot to mention it to you. Thank you, guys.
Please pick up Judith Shaw. Not too shabby, right? That's what I'm saying. So thank you so much, Judith, for blessing us up here today with your words and and reminding us about what it means to be a woman. So appreciate that very, very much. I know, right? Snap it off, right? We got our snaps on and everything, man. I don't know. It's too much for me. It's too much for me. Goodness. All right. So now we've got the room going. Everybody's feeling good? Yeah. Want to hear some more poems? All right, well then let me just call up the next featured writer for this evening. His name is Thunderclaw Robinson. He's a multifaceted storyteller and teacher who spent many years transforming negative emotions and energy into fuel for positive change. Hailing from Scarborough, yes, sorry, I had to throw that in there. can't take the Scarborough out of the boy. From Scarborough, he has shared the stage with Ari Lennox and Jesse Reyes and opened for the 44th U.S. President, Mr. Barack Obama himself. Thunderclaw has traveled to a variety of locations across the continent to share light through poems and songs and aims to use his experience to assist others in moving a step closer to telling their truest story through art. Everyone, please help me welcome to the stage, Thunderclaw Robinson.
Hello, everyone. My name is Thunderclaw Robinson, and I have a few stories to share with you today. Just gonna fix this. Right, so I started doing poetry about 12-ish years ago. It's kind of hard for me to register exactly when I started. I still feel like I'm really young, but I'm turning 27 this year, which I guess I really am still very young. But to me, it feels like a long time since I've been born, right? So I'm just trying to register things like that. So for the next little bit, I plan on writing some new content, but for now, I feel like casting away the poems that I've written up until now because I feel like there's too much of a me that is not here anymore in those poems, in a way, you know? So I kind of just want to accumulate all that poetry into one space, publish a book probably later on this year, and then start on my new venture of writing poems and songs. But for now, I'm going to share with you some of the poems that are going to end up in that book. I hope you like them. And needless to say, there is a lot of deep emotions that are in these poems that I hope you will be able to have a connection with and gain some new perspective on certain things. So this first poem is called Accent Tax. I am hovering somewhere between the way the world wants me to speak and the accent my parents never wanted me to have. I guess that's why I still stutter on the simplest words. I don't know what I'm supposed to sound like. Pieces of my past puzzle picture practically pixelated. It doesn't sound right. My voice gets hit with an accent tax within its own body. Can someone please tell me what home feels like? I have my mother's mouth, but not my mother's intonation. I have my father's music sense, but not his yard-grown education, and I always wonder if that will be enough. I already know I don't need to be my parents. The point is to be a better fusion of the gems that crystallized over my conception. Cognitively, I'm confident in what I'm composed of, but my roar still fares foreigner to me and this community of lions. I feel like it's a pride that I could never have. The fluidity of fighting phonetics is lost on me because I wasn't licked and groomed by my mother's tongue, and my parents opted to hide their voice in this strange new world in hopes that a predator mightier than they would not be clued into their identity. And for me, they wanted the same, but I had not found mine yet. It hadn't entered my soul. Never around long enough to ingest, but always near enough to smell, and only ever spoken enough to hear the pounding drum heartbeats of my warrior ancestors. At home, we are loud enough to be heard, and all ears are pricked and tuned into the environment. Everyone understands what you are saying. There's no shaming when in language playing, code switching masters, and it sounds like freedom, like freedom. Oh, how I wish my parents still spoke their dark, rich accent. That they didn't sacrifice who they were to become who they are. I feel like assimilation shouldn't have to be a survival tactic. What kind of environment would make lions have to hide their shame in the shade of another dialect? I can understand it. I couldn't reiterate a sentence without showing you where I come from, because where I come from, I'm sorry, I mean, where my family's footsteps lead back to. They were all too aware that hiding their true voice was a means of survival, at least this far away from home. Thank you. If I were to paint you a picture of the stars, will you come to understand just how much I miss them? Haven't had a chance to connect with dots within a while. Gaze up and it's consistently overcast. Cast over anchors for constellations to hold on to. Little Dipper doesn't pour much into Big Dipper. Big Dipper pours back the exact same amount and it overflows. How will a Leo overcome this? Expansion is in my wake, and I guess I really miss my chance of being among celestial bodies. Remnants of tidal forces have altered my core, and I can do weightlifting for my own dense neutrons, but it might not change a single thing. I wish I could have. made our orbits more binary, ones and zeros, no missing values, no hidden figures, sharing a center of masses we create, spinning and never slowing, growing and growing closer over time, make a ripple the whole universe feels with our relationship, sink into the fabric of the void, and bend light and time around ourselves, but I'm just no good at nuclear fusion. I couldn't be that luminous while you simply radiate beauty. A delicate balance between pressure and resistance, all while making something brand new. I don't feel worthy of your magnitude. It's what makes you so stellar. Quasar-tinted eyes, gamma rays that pass through all things, starlight, star bright. You're the last star I see every night. I wish I may, I wish I might, have this wish that you will come and find me again. If light years are city blocks, then we are mountain peaks apart, astronomical units. I can't bear having this much empty space between us. I need to feel the tug of your magnetosphere, reside in your Goldilocks, and I'm just afraid to say it. I don't want my words lost in a vacuum. If cosmic inflation isn't just a theory, then they'll never reach you, and I'd like to think that I'll always be in view of your corona, that I've finally come prepared for supernovas, but years happened years ago, and the light is just hitting me now. I know what I've lost. That looking at this one section of broad expanse will always mean peering back in space and time, so I'm just going to keep staring, because although it hurts, you're my star first, until our star bursts. You're not mine, but you're my star first, until our star bursts. That poem was called Starburst. This poem is called Endgame. It's not a reference to Marvel Avengers Endgame, but it's called Endgame nonetheless. Can we win? Though many of us are pacifists, we are fighting for our lives, but so many of us have died without retribution. It looks like we're on the losing side. Can we win? It's been game time for over 4 centuries with almost no sign of overpowering the enemy. Can we win this one? And many of us are athletes born with a hunger for victory, but most times when I'm down, the opposition is still kicking me. Can we win? They see us fighting like we're trying to end a sparring match, but really it's a gladiator ring covered in gasoline, and they just let the match. The lions in their cages are waiting to pounce and attack, and we just stand here as a flaming spectacle just for them to watch and clap. Can we win? Though I myself am a fighter, I am disciplined in de-escalation, but sometimes it feels like I can't breathe. There's not enough air pressure at this elevation where you have to fight. On the same level as the higher ups, they have the high ground, and we must rely on luck. Look left, look right. I don't see anyone to defend us, because whole time they have our own teammates against us. This is stupid. Not because they have us feigning their own ignorance, but we got Helen Keller driving the bus deaf and blind to their own privilege. Can we win? Don't get me wrong. We've had many of our own victories, trials in overcoming it, but they just love to mess with our aims, make it look like we're overgunning it. Can we win? If it's planet Earth versus an asteroid, it's not that big, it's not that powerful, but that's still a whole asteroid. I'm tired of play fighting with troopers who want to kill me, take my organs, hurt my sister, and put my father in prison, red-carded from when we started, plot a whole mutiny in effect. The type of ignorance make a man them snatch my headphones off my neck. Now that hurt. He looked just like me. The eyebrows, the big nose, and the patchy beard to the T. I guess it's kind of messed up. I see myself in the guy that mugged me. A brother, too coward to act on your own. You'd rather us kill each other. Can we win? It's the last game of the playoffs. Final moments, so we're down by 3. Your captain has given our best player an injury. We try to argue our case, secure a justified penalty, but every time we speak up, they say it's a reverse foul on the referee. Well, forget the referee then. Your whistle ain't doing it. My black anger will always be louder than anything you can do with your lips, and my voice will be the instrument that shouts down the hopelessness, raise generations of caring warriors who know about openness. I done trained my whole life just to find something worth fighting for. A lack of empathy isn't how we should be known after dying for. I don't want to insult nobody, but I hope nobody's hurt when I say, can we please put the ignorance in a hearse? Cursing lack of intelligence, kill the hatred for melanin. When, oh when, will my features be revered and irrelevant? We've been defending ourselves for so long, we don't know how to attack. But one thing's for sure, I'm not going down with scars on my back, because I'll never turn away. I'll always keep fighting. A saying lives for battle, it doesn't matter the time, and so I know it seems hopeless. But my pride won't let me pretend, because it's not about if we can win this war, but when. This poem is called Glasgow 26. Actually, if it'll load. All right, we're just gonna do this. I call this poem Combustion Man. My firebending just isn't fueled by rage anymore. I've always feared that I may lose my honor, that people wouldn't get the backstory that fleshes out my character. Sometimes it scares me, like how Sozin's comet sows in a brand new thread of fear to a people afraid of the heavens. Sometimes I see things in the sky that get me all fired up. That's why the sun is my best friend, and I miss it dearly. That's why I'm in love with the moon spirit. Every day I pray to UA. That's why I can't stop writing about the stars, my stars. I wish I could go to them, get lost in constellations, commune with Leo and Orion, but I know it's actually just emptiness out there in space for weightlessness. Some of the beauty of what's out there comes from the fact that we're looking from this side of the fence. You can search the universe for cosmic energy and you won't find none till you are back on Earth, grounded, jumping through timelines when you sleep and waking up with new perspective on what we eat, what fuels you, what fools you. I don't think my flame is longer to be gaslit. I want my words to be combustion chamber to my gasket. And I want the world to hear me just before I hit my casket. So if my flame is meant to be eternal in the limelight, then it's got to be sourced from something more than just finite, because my trauma is temporary. My trauma is temporary. My trauma is temporary, but healing can transcend lifetimes. It's in our building blocks. We build blocks, then build with blocks and make centers to get better in. Surrounded by melanin brethren, settled in, testing our metal with competitive meddling. How could I have ever thought that the way I rend my fire had to come through so much unresolved pain, when freely giving light, warmth, energy, and life, unconditionally, was always the better option. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Daveisha, as you heard. And yes, I'll just be sharing a few poems with you. The first one is about me, a bit conceited, but more of like an introduction of myself. She was a miracle baby. Born after one was miscarried, umbilical cord wrapped twice around the neck, yet delivered so quickly you wouldn't even know it. It was a late night, thwarted plans for a greater surprise, a life that came right on time. They called me Daveisha. Beloved life, a meaning I tried to believe, to step into with every stride. I was a combination of my parents. Both in home and in skin tone, my name carried the only sense of pride I have always known. A mixture of loyal and gullible kindness, with strategic and kingdom-mindedness, am my parents' child. Burning my hand fresh hot on the iron is the first memory I hold. Next, falling in love with singing. Losing my best friend to an illness I didn't yet understand. Spring fling visits that never seemed to end. When I think of my childhood, it's often tainted with memories of what I wanted to forget. times when I lied to everyone because my life wasn't what I thought they'd expect, but I also think of learning to ride a bike around a neighborhood that wasn't even mine. Churning butter in my first grade class, finding friends who chose me despite all that I lacked, 6 a.m. mornings while still being late to school. And after-school programs that were kind of uncool. It was writing notes to my crushes, learning Sudokus and math. It was a cruise that my mom made happen when we had nothing. A pillar of childhood, a real vacation. It was tears as we moved too far away. When my friends didn't return my calls the next day, when I found the friends that I have now. Played basketball, learned how to hula hoop, and started to heal somehow. It was constant moving, laughing, and fighting with my siblings. Dancing at church, finding comfort in being seen, being in. It was all these little memories and many more that shape who I am by who I was today, who I was before. Oops, I'm too close, eh? I hope I'm better than I once was, though past pains still nudge me. I can only pray to have the path lit in front of me. I strive for joy and to bring joy and happiness, and to love me for all that I am and all that has happened. I pray to live a life that respects and honors all that's been done for me. From God to my mom, to my siblings, friends, and teachers, I've been in great company for all I've seen and all you've done. I love you in this life and in the next one. Keep pushing forward, trusting God in all that you pursue, and know that with every step of the way, I'll be taking care of you. Alrighty then. Okay, this poem is about loneliness. She told me she didn't want to be here anymore, and that much was obvious. As I stared at her in the mirror, the hollow of her eyes hollowed my soul's eyes are windows, but her glass fogged my pain. Fear, I tried to wipe it away, but all that remained were smears of terror. Because survival was the only option, but not her first thought. Death couldn't be the outcome of darkness that bloomed from her mind alone, but it felt like the only place that could be warm. Comfort, peace, free of the burden of life, warmth and sunshine through the blinds, all-consuming, overwhelming, hurt that she felt abundantly, never fleeting. Then loneliness set into the bones of the girl who stares back at me. And I don't feel a thing, because I don't recognize her. She is not who I hope to be, wrapped in suffering when I'd rather her be clothed in majesty. She reaches for comfort, but I can't be the only one who comforts me. So I shut the lights and I leave. In this forced solitude, her pain swallows her whole because it came, all dressed up, but had nowhere to go. Thank you. So these last two poems, I was telling my friend these earlier, I wrote them today, so you guys will be the first to ever hear them. Be kind to me, please. The first one I'll share with you is it's about falling in love with a childhood friend. I never thought we'd fall out of place, but then you walked out the door. We promised to never fall asleep angry. I never thought I'd ever wake up alone. Your job took you far from me, but I was always your ending point. The distance was just a measure of how long I'd miss you. Back then, it felt like forever, but soon it was just the breath between us. As a Black girl in love, I wondered why I never expected this. To lose you when I only just got you, it didn't make sense. Can you learn to love me again? Because I never stopped. To know you is to love you, and to love you is an indelible mark on my heart. My whole life, I doodled hearts around your name. When you held my hand a little too long, I knew you felt the same, so I sit here to remind you that you love me. When I pulled away too soon, never made eye contact as I danced around you, you chased me, you chose me. Now it's my turn to chase you. A poem about you is all the words I want to say but can't. When we were young, I'd always put one seat between us, but still wished you'd hold my hand. You were everything too close, and yet still too far. It was terrifying that I loved you before I knew who you were. We laughed, we talked, but never broke the surface. If I asked to see more of you, I worried you would break my heart on purpose, but the first time you held my waist, I knew. I was meant for you. I stood flustered, red, blue, purple, orange, as I danced around the sunset, joy not knowing with one touch you wrecked me. I talked about you as if you were already mine. My patience wore thin, but I didn't want to cross a line. We'd make snow angels at first snowfall. Play basketball in the rain with no care at all, because even cold and trembling, your laugh was the sound of the sun shining. It was Sunday. You stood beside me as I stirred hot chocolate, followed along the process. Even though you're lactose intolerant, you smiled and joked. Video games forgotten, and I fell right then, totally smitten. Distance became our enemy. But you always made me seen, rushed letters with hearts doodled around my name in my mailbox every week. You'd send me pictures of your smiling face, and I couldn't wait to hold you again and to feel your warm embrace in this house. I often slept alone, but I never woke up without your name lighting up my phone. But today, the first snowfall. And it's not the reason for the chill that settles over our home. Can you love me again? Because I don't want to wake up alone.
Oh.
So this last poem is all fake. I am not this person, but I wanted to I wanted to step into a character and create a story from a different perspective. So I wanted to create something confusing and kind of like be the villains. There we go. I cracked you open like a good book, preserved your spine because your middle contained enough back-breaking burdens. At least that's what you told me. You weaved together stories that kept me trapped in your web. The truth ebbed and flowed with you. I never knew what version would spill from your mouth, but I was committed to finish what we began. To understand the hand you'd been dealt, I thought I could shape you into someone else, a new character. When I figured you out, you were just a book. Then you became mine. I wrote you into sonnets, made you recite soliloquies. If I was stuck with you, you'd be the character I needed you to be. Act for me, won't you? Lies fell from your lips, but at least they hit my ears sweetly. You said my eyes were filled with sunshine. It doesn't matter that I wrote that into the flat line. You said it. You gave life to words I wrote over you. Not a word from your lips unless I printed it in the script, please. Don't fight me on this. You let me in, pulled me in with a web of lies that left me curious, bound, dazed, and surprised. You spewed venom that froze me, but I could never just sit silently. In this house, there is happiness. Don't you see it's written on page 12? Learn your lines if you can't do anything else. You told me to learn to be synonymous with stagnant, to be stuck where you want me, but with stories we create. Who needs reality? You changed since I met you. Now you're changing me, my brightness dimming, blooming, an unknown part of me. You wait in silence as I weave many words. Hold your story in my closing hands to get you where it hurts. You scream, you can't control me. As if you could try to change who I made you be. I can simply snip away your web encasing me while you thought you controlled my everything. I was always the one pulling the string.
Yes, everyone, please, one more time for Daveisha Francis. That was amazing. Thank you so much, Daveisha, for sharing. And you know, I'm just, when I listen to you do your poetry, I'm reminded of when I was beginning my poetry career way too many years ago. And that optimistic energy that eventually gets beaten out of you. It's so nice to see. I'm just kidding. I was joking. Oh my goodness. No, but really what I'm saying is like, it's just, the amazing youthful energy that you bring, and the magnificent wordplay and imagery that you paint with your words is incredible. Thank you so much for sharing. All right. My goodness. In the beginning, there was silence. And then a subtle pulse as the atoms of the cosmos collided, divided, aligned, and combined, and provided the mindset for masses of minds. And inside new insides, no violence, inclined to climb from this mind, because I'm a child of the most beautiful and powerful instincts of the species. See these easy scenes, bequeath these sounds, movements and pauses, causes a twittering twitch from pineal to pituitary to pulse of powerful practice. Pitter, pitter, patter on the skins of the brain to inflame the refrain I'm about to be saying. So, as I was explaining, in the beginning, there was silence, broken back by the beat. In the beginning, there was silence, broken back by the beat in the boom of the bang of the drum. In the beginning, there was silence, broken back by the beat snare. In the beginning, there was silence, broken back by the beat snare, the beat in the boom of the bang of the drum. I said the beat in the boom of the bang of the drum. I said the beat in the boom of the bang of the drum. Beat snare, beat snare, boom boom, beat snare, beat snare, boom boom, beat snare, beat snare, boom boom, to the bang of the drum, boom boom, beat snare, beat snare, boom boom, beat snare, beat snare, boom boom, beat snare, beat snare, boom boom, to the bang of the drum. Pitter pitter patter on the skins of the brain to inflame the refrain I'm about to be saying. Pitter pitter patter on the skins of the brain, you'll retain this refrain. That's the way that we're made. Pitter pitter patter on the skins of the brain, it's amazing the phrase in the brain will retain. Pitter pitter patter on the skins of your brain, it's so catchy it'll drive you insane. Boom beat snare, beat snare, boom boom, beat snare, beat snare, boom boom, beat snare, beat snare, boom boom, to the bang of the drum, boom boom, beat snare, beat snare, boom boom, beat snare, beat snare, boom boom, beat snare, beat snare, boom boom, to the bang of the drum. In the beginning, there was silence, broken back by the beat. In the beginning, there was silence. And then a subtle pulse as the atoms of the cosmos collided, divided, aligned, and combined, and provided the mindset for masses of minds. And inside new insides, no violence inclined to climb from this mind, because I'm a child of the beat. Thank you, everyone. My name is Greg Frankson, and I am a spoken word artist. I'm not going to read my bio because that's ridiculous. I've been doing poetry. It'll be 20 years in July. I've been fortunate to travel across. Hush mode. 27-year-old youth. And I started, you were 7 years old, Reggie. All right? I just want to point that out. It's like, I think I'm getting old. I've been at this a long time. So I'm just messing with you. But it has been a real pleasure in my career to have had the honor of traveling all the way across this country, through the United States, overseas, doing the work that I do. And one of the great things that I was able to do in my career happened last year when we released AfriCANthology, Perspectives of Black Canadian Poets. There are 20 Black artists in this book, with a foreword from Aita Sadu, who some of you may know as a very famous storyteller and also the owner of a very important Black institution, a different book list in downtown Toronto, one of the most notable Black bookstores in our history. And wonderful words of poetry in this book from incredible artists, people like Olive Sr., who is now the Poet Laureate of Jamaica, people like George Eliot Clark, who has won a Governor General's Award for poetry, people like Rodney St. Eloi, whose writing is in this book in French, a two-time Governor General's Award winner, and so many other great voices, Afua Cooper, who needs no introduction, truly. And folks like Evelyn C. White, that most don't know about, who wrote Alice Walker's biography. And then Valerie Mason John, the editor of The Great Black North, one of Canada's most important collections of Black Canadian poetry. And all of these different voices, Wade Compton out on the West Coast, and newer voices like Tondeway McCarthy and Asante Houghton, Cicely Bell Blaine. We have incredible work in this book. And so I'm going to read, because not only was I the editor of this volume, I also contributed. And so I'd like to read my poem that I contributed to the book. It's called The Blackened Room. Open the door. Step inside the contours of your fear. Caress the warp in your perception that braids devastation to your cranium, tight like rows of Negro corn as each footfall draws you deeper. Wrap yourself in the blackness like a discomforted comforter, too warm that leaves you sweaty, restless, confused, discombobulated equilibrium. Dissolve matter into the ether, argue spiritedly with the lives you'd meant to live before this. The door groans shut behind you. cuts off all possibility of escape. Bidden by the highest bidder who enslaves you to new terror. Bitter as the sea salt that transported anxiety-addled chattel from foreign sands through the hourglass, you are diminished, once plucked from indigenous land and cast onto red-soaked soil unfit for your roots. Shrunk down to near enough to nothingness, pulverized in aggregate to be ground down into building blocks of oppressive freedom. Shackled by the petrification of ambition and unfree wills, a testament to the death of one's hope. Newly nested in pathology that holds you fetal, fragile like an eggshell, broken open, oozes unrestrained like a liquefied scream. A race to fill cracks and crevices whips quickly across sullen floorboards. Desperate search for unattainable wholeness in the fetid, dank vacuum of a space that proffers no gentle companionship on the journey to pernicious perdition. Just a middle passage from here to where fear lurks in dark corners. Waiting. Thank you. Now I'm going to do 2 more poems and we're going to take a break. But before we do that, in this penultimate poetic performance, I would like for you to engage in a little something that we refer to as audience participation. Okay? So, what we do in audience participation is very simple. You're going to use this piece of meat, your hand, and you're going to slap it against one of your thighs or something, another part of your body, whichever you're most comfortable with, usually a thigh. Please don't clap though, that's very distracting. And I'm going to get you to provide a rhythm for me, okay? A very simple beat. Don't worry, it's not going to be anything complicated. I'm not trying to make you do let your backbone slide or anything in here, okay? It's very simple. And so, this poem, just before I get you to do the beat, the poem is, I wanted to do it because it's Easter weekend. You know, I grew up, attending church and doing all that stuff, and going to a Catholic school where, I was taught by people like Mr. Ralph Gauthier in the back, who was my grade 5 teacher, who was here to watch. Thank you, Ralph.
Those that don't know the real Greg, I was one of his teaching degrees, so I'll let you know after the break.
Thanks, I think. So this piece is called Sanctify, and the rhythm goes like this. And you're going to do it with me, not as an echo, okay? So it goes like this. There you go. Nice and simple. It goes like this. Knock, knock, missy. Knock, knock. Knock, knock, missy. Knock, knock. Every time a new contention comes to knock upon your door, no doubt that it is real, it's going to raise your temperature. So now you have to wonder what the Lord He has in store. Best listen to these words because say I implore for you to step straight up and keep your eyes clear. And never, never question how this challenge can appear. Just know that Satan is not strong enough to interfere. Retain your inner strength and you have no interfere. He cannot make for providence to pass you right by. Inheritance is coming and it can't be denied. And even though the enemy may still come try, just hold on to your gifts because they sanctify. Just hold on to your gifts because they sanctify. Just hold on to your gifts because they sanctify. No other way to say it, with these gifts we can't be cured. And if we use them properly, they multiply to more. So fortify yourself straight through your flesh and to your core. Can say whatever, but this message you should not ignore. Because these words are coming from far beyond me. I had the task to write them down and share faithfully. But you must know the way to use them ultimately. If you fail or if you prosper, is then when we will see just how well you've learned the lessons of life. To overcome or buckle to the challenge and strife. To live right by the word or catch the blade of the knife. Surrender to the evil plans we know are rife. Every time a new contention comes to knock upon your door, don't doubt that it is real, it's going to raise your temperature. So now you have to wonder what the Lord He has in store. Let's listen to these words because say I implore for you to step straight up and keep your eyes clear and never, never question how this challenge can appear. Just know that Satan is not strong enough to interfere. Retain your inner strength and you not interfere. Cannot make for providence to pass you right by. Inheritance is coming and it can't be denied. And even though the enemy may still come try, just hold on to your gifts because they sanctify. Just hold on to your gifts because they sanctify. Said hold on to your gifts because they sanctify. Knock, knock, missy. Knock, knock. Knock, knock, missy. Knock, knock. Thank you very much. And I will end on a high note. There's just one last poem that I'm going to perform. It's one that I often end my shows with, just to leave on a good energy. It's written about those who share their art, and especially here in National Poetry Month, as we get people together to listen to poetry being shared in the community. I just want to put that little bit of encouragement to those who do create, to continue to do so, and to continue to create based off of the spark that is ignited inside of them. So I give you Ignite. Spark the light, ignite. Heat up the atmosphere in Kelvin, Celsius, and Fahrenheit. Dance and cast shadows as scorched leaves and wood flicker, and the crowd around the bonfire grows thicker and thicker. Share tales of yore passed down through generation to generation to warm up your thoughts and set a light imagination. When you breathe, feel the blaze of ash-laden air in your lungs. Feed the fire you feel inside, your conflagration just begun. Stir the embers that singe the sky with every spin, strum, sachet, and stroke. For every first notice fire, it is always signaled by smoke. It carries memory of solidity before fuel converts to flame. Looks down upon the gathering, reflects upon from whence it came, ascends once freed from inhibition, sets an example we should heed while chaff lit incendiary burns at a flame-lit constant speed. Shake the dust from your clothing, use your singular voice to blend with the chorus before us, make inflammatory choice, spark the light, ignite. Boil like lava beneath the calm, then create streams of creativity like volcanic balm. Flow flips from feeble to fire starter, blackened heart seared in flame. When forged in such heat, you can never be the same. Since to char every last fear, vaporize tears from your eyes, burn bright enough to endear you to the dawn as you rise. To inspire, we must wax like stars burn celestial bright. Melt excuses with the blaze, and when you feel the moment is right, seize the space to find cleansing through creative delight, then share it with hopeful abandon to everyone within sight. But for those beyond your hand's grasp, burn fury etched deep into their palms. Energy the artistic you emits enriches like spiritual alms. So that you dance, paint, sculpt, sing, play, act, write, or recite when your passions ignite, shine! When you spark your light. Thank you very much, everyone. I hope that you have enjoyed what you have seen so far. Once again, could you please make some noise for Judith and for Thunderclaw and for Daveisha for the wonderful work that have shared so far. We're going to take a quick 10-minute break. We're going to go to the tables out in the front. You'll be able to talk to the folks from the Congress of Black Women. You'll be able to come and see the table if you would like to pick up a copy of AfriCANthology. After that, we're going to come back in. We're going to bring all the poets up to the front. We're going to have a little discussion, Q&A, kind of jam vibe session with everybody in the room, so y'all can bring up all of your questions like, excuse me, Judith, what is dub poetry? And any other question that you might have. All right? So we'll see you back in here at 8:25. Thank you. Just before we get into the discussion is, as I mentioned at the beginning of the night, BlackLit Durham runs an event in Durham region every other month, bringing together amazing Black literary voices, mostly local, but also from further afield. Our next show is happening on Sunday, April the 30th, so the last day of this month, from 7 to 9 p.m. The event takes place at the St. Francis Center, which is on Church Street, just south of Highway 2 in Pickering Village in Ajax. And so if you wonderful good folks could come on through, bring your posse, and we'll have a great time. There is an Eventbrite page for BlackLit Durham, so you can go in and look on that through the Ajax Library, where our partners on that particular event. And we would love to see you all out there. You do have to register, but it is free. So bring everybody along and come out and check out wonderful poetry. We've got a great lineup. It's all on our website, blacklitdurham.com. So enough for the public announcements, and let's just get back into the discussion. So once again, folks, please give a warm Whitby welcome to our good people here at the front, Judith, Thunderclaw, and Daveisha. So I'm just going to, I'm going to just start off by just asking each one of them a real quick question, and then we're just going to kind of open it up so we can have a bit of a discussion. Is everybody cool with that? All right, and Thunderclaw is the keeper of the microphone, so he will pass it to whoever needs to speak. So I'm going to start with Daveisha on this one, and I'm just going to ask all three of you, what your impression was and how you feel about, being here tonight and being here on this stage in front of these wonderful people at the Whitby Library.
I was quite nervous. I've had the opportunity to perform a few times, but it's always just nerve-wracking to get in front of a fresh set of ears. And it's so far been really lovely. Everyone's been so kind, and yeah, I feel very welcomed in this space. And so, I hope to again do the poetry thing in Durham. I don't do that often, so it's been a treat.
Yeah, there you go. Thunderclaw.
So it's been a while since I've gotten the chance to share some of my poetry, so it's been an experience getting to show my poetry to a completely new crowd. I'm kind of used to performing for the same crowd every week and somehow trying to impress them with something new and writing something new all the time. So I'm very happy to get this chance to present for all of you. Yeah.
Cool.
Let me see. I actually really enjoyed it, to be honest with you. I do love to perform, but love attention too, so. So I actually really enjoyed it, but kind of mess up a little bit, but that's just life sometimes, right? Exactly. But I enjoyed, I love the feedback, I love the vibes, because you see, with me when I perform, I look from left to right, to middle to east to west to north to south. And I was just so entranced with everyone's expression on their face. And I could see that I kind of grabbed, especially the man in the glasses, I grabbed his heart a little bit there. And I said, yes, do exactly what I wanted. So I really did enjoy it. And you guys, your vibes were to the point. Love it.
All right. So I'm actually going to ask one more question before I open up to you all, and Julie, you can keep the mic and then pass it back that way. Okay. So the other thing that I want to ask you about is, we're here in the Whitby Central Library in the middle of Durham region, which for folks who don't know, in the 2021 census, the information came out showing that there are 66,000 Black people in the regional municipality of Durham. It's a very significant population, and not only that, the populations of Black folks in Pickering, Ajax, and Whitby in particular are amongst the highest in the entire country, and Ajax is in fact the highest. Ajax is Canada's Blackest municipality, with 1 in 6 residents are Black people in Ajax. So I wanted to ask you all, because you all have connections to Durham region in one way or another, sort of like, what is your impression of that information, and how do you think we as Black people can continue to gather and to share and to boost each other up out here in Durham?
To be honest with you, I just learned it from you. Okay, when I first came to Durham, how many years ago, I came from Toronto. So from East York to downtown Toronto, and I happened to skip away from the Whitby Center. And when I thought of purchasing my home, it was Durham, because that's when I could afford it. And I was like, oh my God, I can't believe this. I was so depressed coming to Durham. I was so depressed. I'm like, what have I done to myself? But then after a while, I got so used to it. And then when I went to Toronto, because I got married to that man in the middle there, and he was in Toronto, and I went back there, and I'm like, I need to come back to Durham. Oh my God, I need to come back to Durham. So I really enjoy living out here. And because I'm a visitor home nurse, so I go home to home and provide care, driving in Durham is hallelujah, praise the Lord feeling. Because driving in Toronto is like, Jesus Christ, take the wheel kind of thing. Yeah, so you know what? I really do enjoy Durham.
Thank you, Judith.
So I just learned about this information too. Yeah, I guess I didn't expect it. I wasn't aware of it. And I actually lived in Whitby for a short time last year. First time I've ever lived in Durham. My cousins have been living in Ajax for like as long as I've known. And my mom is still a resident of Whitby. I ended up moving out of my mom's place to go back into Scarborough, but I did appreciate being here for the overall sense of calm that I'd feel being at home in Whitby as opposed to being in the city, especially downtown Toronto. It can be very lively there at 3 a.m. on any given day. But yeah, I did appreciate being able to come home deep into Whitby and just rest and bide my time till I was getting up and going to work again.
For me, I'm in Ajax, and I when I was in elementary school and whatnot, I don't think I found myself surrounded by a lot of Black people. And as I step into this adult life that I'm in now, I see just more people who look like me, more people that connect with me, and I think it's just a joy. Like, I wasn't ecstatic to be back in Ajax after I left university. I was like, oh, I came from independence and living in the city to being back in Ajax where you can't get anywhere walking. But it has been a blessing to come back and experience just more diversity than I feel like I grew up with.
That's great. Thank you so much. And folks, we want to open that up to you. Do you folks have any questions, feedback, ideas that you want to share with these good folks? Right here in the front.
Hi. I have a question. When you sit down and write your poetry, do you do it all in one fell swoop? Because your poems were actually quite long with several stanzas. Do you get an idea and you sit down one afternoon and you write it all out? Or is it more of a longer process, like a writer that writes a novel and you write a bit today and it might take over a month? Or I kind of get the impression you're inspired by something and you sit down and you write it all in one fell swoop. Can you tell me more about what the process is? Or is it more slow and thoughtful?
I write my pieces all in one go.
Okay.
Usually, like you said, I'll get inspired. Sometimes it's like middle of the night, and I'm like, ooh, that's a good idea. And then, you write one thing down, and all of a sudden you're building upon it. And a lot of the time for me, so with spoken word, there's kind of like a rhythm that you go with. And so I don't necessarily always rhyme, but sometimes I will. So, I'll get a random thought, I'll put it down like in my notes on my phone, and then I'll be like, okay, what rhymes with, happiness or whatever, and then all of a sudden I have another word that I can build that poem upon. And so, for me, not very often am I just doing small pieces. I'm just like sitting down, 20 minutes. That was good. Ooh,
That's what I thought.
So personally, in my experience, it's been a lot more like it can be either or any. Like, you can sit down and start a poem and finish it all one time, but sometimes I've had poems that, like, I started writing it and didn't realize it was finishable until 3 years later. The last poem I was about to share, but it wouldn't load. I came home on a Friday night, very tired, very upset at the world, and it all came out in once. But I've been tired since then and have not been able to write a single poem. So it really depends. Sometimes the next poem that you write isn't for the next decade. but maybe you thought about it now, right? That's what I mean.
There's a mixture line. I would start a poem, and I thought that it's going to go one way, and then, because I'm usually, this is how I do things. Like, for example, with the prior one, I was actually praying when the poem came to me. And I said, oh, Jah, this is what I was saying. Oh, Jah, so many ghettos, because I just came from Jamaica. And I was just praying for the individuals there, people them there. And I jump out of my prayer, I'm not gonna lie to you. I said, well, that's a good poem. So, and then I started it, and then I went back praying, and I finished my prayer, and then, but then it took days. It took days, and then I said, okay, I went back to it, and I said, I like that. And then I take things out, and then I put things back, and so it does take those times where you write a poem right away, and it sounds good, and then there's days when you just come back and you kind of tweak it a little bit, and you toss things here and toss things there.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, for me, most of the time, the poem comes out one time, but oftentimes you'll write stuff. I don't know about y'all, but I've got like about 25 notebooks. It has all kind of stuff, little bits and pieces of things that I've thought of. Also, just so folks know, the amount of stuff that we actually like put out into the world, there's a whole bunch of other garbage. That is like, will never see the light of day, okay? Just to put this out there. Not every time you sit down, you get poetry gold, all right? And so I can remember times where I've gone back into old notebooks and, and I'm looking for something. Like I'm looking for something in particular. And then I flip to a page and I'm like, what the heck is this? When did I write this? One time I did that, I pulled out a poem and I was like, what the heck is this poem? And then I went through it and I was like, it's not bad. Maybe I'll just do it on an open mic one time or something. So I got up and I did it and people were like, oh my gosh, that poem was so great. And then it became a part of my regular rotation and a lot of stuff that I do in schools. So you just never quite know. You just never quite know.
And if someone invite me to an event, I always want to try to do something new. And sometimes I could sit there for hours. I'm like, Jesus Christ, give me a poem. No, please, me, I beg you. Please give me a poem. Because I wanted something different. And sometimes the poem comes because that's how the Generation Creator came. It was for a woman event. And myself, for weeks, I sit on myself, I want a poem. But I mean, sometimes poem will come to you, and sometimes they just don't come to you. So when that one came, Jesus, me celebrate. Hallelujah, praise the Lord, because it came out not what I thought it would have been, and it came out beautifully. Yeah.
That's amazing. Thank you. Thank you for the question. It's a great question. Is there, oh yeah, there's one
Yeah,
here.
Greg, I wanted to ask you about the rhythm part that you put in your work.
Yeah.
Is that integral to the creation part, or is it something that you develop and add to the spoken part, like particularly like that?
Oh, the sanctify.
I'm late for some, never gonna get that down, but I did.
You got it. It was like pop, pop. That's it.
Anyway, but did you add that after, or is that there in your head and then you start going?
Oftentimes when I write a rhythmic piece, the rhythm is the foundation. So it's like, so when I wrote Sanctify, the idea is that dun 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 dun. It's the same rhythm, right? The melody changes slightly, For you to step straight up and keep your eyes clear. It's still based on the same rhythm. There's like longer notes and whatever, but it's all the same rhythm. And that's the same sort of thing with Child of the Beat. When you write, it's like, and the rhyme pattern also will dictate the beat, right? It's atoms of the cosmos collided, divided, aligned, and combined. It's divided, aligned, and combined, and provided, right? So it's the rhyme pattern that is creating the rhythm itself. So they come together. They are inseparable in the composition of the piece. Yeah. Thank you for that question.
I know this young lady right here had asked, what is dub poetry?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so dub poetry is a form of poetry that is created in Jamaica with the idea of a reggae beat to it. So I can't sing the reggae, so I kind of do the poetry.
See, I'm taking djembe lessons. right now. So
Okay.
and one of the fellows, Negus is from Jamaica, so I'm sitting and playing with him.
Okay.
So I have a little tiny bit of that knowledge, but I mean, I'm a white chick. I know how. I'm listening to you, and I'm the outsider.
Yes.
I don't know what you're going through. I
Yes.
don't know what your lives are.
Yes.
I have no idea. You can't know mine. I can't know yours. So when this is a little teeny tiny opening, tiny that I'm sitting here listening and I'm going, but at the same time there are similarities, right? I mean,
Right.
nobody's life is perfect. Everybody's gone
Exactly.
through something, right?
Right.
And I just know that I need to write mine. Listen to you. I've got to write mine.
Amen. Good for you.
That's
We love to
beautiful.
encourage people. Yeah.
I'm sorry, you were talking
Yeah.
about all of that.
Yeah,
I
so dub
apologize.
poetry, they look at social economic aspect in an environment or in a community,
Right.
and they base the poetry off that. Because that's where you hear me say too many ghettos, right?
Yeah.
In the sun, yeah. So that's where dub poetry started, and that's what it's all about. So you use a lot of the reggae beat, you know, and you speak of the injustice in the community or socially based.
That's right. Awesome. Thank you. That's good.
Sorry, I was in Jamaica for about 6 weeks, and it was wonderful, to say the least. If I could have gone there, to stayed and lived, yeah, but ain't no money, so you ain't going.
Yeah.
But it was just like being at home. There was no difference in it, where there's a separation, I think, when people come here, you know, when they come to Canada. So, but the poverty was the same, stupid crap that there is up here, you know, and all of that. So, and the hustling, the rest of it, it was really quite interesting. And I lived with a family.
And that poem is not really necessarily just Jamaica.
Mhm.
It's literally everywhere. You think about the ghetto lifestyle and what people are encountering. It's literally, as you said, everybody does the same thing or experiencing the same situation.
There you go.
So thank you.
Awesome.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much. Unfortunately, we're running out of time. I saw your hand first.
Sorry.
So, with the
One
white
person,
hat.
yes.
So, I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry. I apologize. We'll take it up later. All right.
My question for you all is sort of, given the experience of anti-black racism, how do you take care of yourself, both before you perform, in your writing, and after these kinds of events, recognizing that the poetry that you're sharing about your experience lives in the context that is activated, that's not separate?
Yeah. That's a brilliant question. It's a really brilliant question. Nope. They're like, nope. Leave it. Go ahead, Thunderclaw.
I can try and tackle that. For me personally, I need a lot of rest. And that's not because I think I'm old. Yes, we've established that is the joke of the night. I think I'm older than I am. Okay. No, I think we truly do underappreciate the amount of rest that we need to function as human beings. The amount of clean water, the amount of nutritious food. I've been paying attention to all of that. So before I came here, all I was doing was resting and taking care of myself, taking care of the place that I live in. The kitchen was messy, the landlord was not handling it. I have to do that myself. It's okay, I need to get to cooking my own food so that I save money. All of that rest and navigation, or I call that navigation, but for me that's resting, being able to make sure that the thing is clean so that it's functional. All of that for me is goes into this practice of what I am now. To be able to do the art, I have to be able to know that I can function as an individual. And so when I go home tonight, I'm gonna make sure that I'm fed. I'm gonna talk to whoever I need to, play a little video games, make sure that my work schedule is set up for the rest of the week the way how I need it to be. You know, simple things, but just the things that we would end up appreciating going through daily life and being like rushed to go to work and do whatever and take care of other people and their needs and whatever that may be, always focusing on what you need to take care of for yourself first. That's my opinion.
And thank you. For me, what it really is really about moving from the solitary to the social. So I really do need to like go home and make sure I have all of my stuff that I gotta take, right? And my bag that was packed up, and I brought my laptop just in case I need to do some other thing, and da-da-da. So I have all of my stuff, put it all together and what have you, and then I just get myself together, you know? I change into the clothes I'm gonna wear, you know, have a drink, what have you, you know, just get ready, and then I go out, get into my transport, go to where I'm going. And then when I show up, it's about being on. Right now, I am on. You all are here. You're here to appreciate what we bring to the stage, and we appreciate you for taking the time to be here with us. So I want to respect you as much as possible by giving the best possible performance that I can, and to be attentive to you as you're saying the things that you need to say. When the night is over, I need to be in a much smaller kind of social setting. I like to go out afterwards. Today's gonna be me and Ralph. We're gonna go and have a drink after this.
A pint or two.
Yeah, a pint or two. My old teacher. But typically I would go out like with some friends or something like that just afterwards, just because often after you perform, there's that energy high that you have. And you just need time for it to burn off. So you go somewhere else and you do whatever. And then once that burns off, then you can go home and you can just settle. And you can reflect, and then you can sleep.
Can I just add to that question though? Like, because the poems are so personal, are there not moments when, in the middle of a line, it's like, oh shit, I can't believe this is real, right? I think maybe that's what you were trying to.
Yeah. No, I know.
Like, how do you manage that?
It's interesting. As a performer, I have learned how to not let that affect me. But I've been performing for almost 20 years, right? So after a while, you start to do that, but it's never, you can't separate yourself from your work like that, right? And you're right, there's moments, particularly in front of certain audiences, where the emotion of how you felt when you originally wrote the poem comes back to you, and it will completely throw you off. You'll fall out of the poem, things will happen. That's what happened to me when I did the Black History Month opening at the gallery. I was performing my poem, Who Was Here, and I got completely out of the poem because I was so overwhelmed by the emotion and the energy that was being thrown back to me by the audience in ways that I had never previously experienced in a poem that I've been performing for 15 years. And so that can happen to you. You can always get tripped up. And so you just have to remind yourself of why you're there, root yourself again, take a breath, think about what you're talking about, and think about the people you're talking about. In the poem, I'm talking about Black community, I'm talking about oppressed Indigenous folks, all kinds of things like that. You just gotta think about that and then move on. And I see that we're getting the gentle hook.
I hate to be the bad guy.
Getting the gentle hook, but thank you for that.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thank you all.
And poetry up the front. Thank you to DIAC for co-hosting. Thank you to the Congress of Black Women for coming and having a table in the lobby.